Due to the coronavirus pandemic, the cruise industry is understandably hurting. People have not been able to go on cruises. Those who were unlucky enough to be stuck on a cruise during the pandemic had to deal with this nightmare scenario where no one wanted them to get off the ship in their state. People were stuck in a situation where they were like basically running low on food. They were stuck in their cabins. And you would think, right? You would think after all of that, people would never feel, or at least wouldn't feel comfortable, booking another cruise for a while. Like people need to forget about this traumatic situation. But no, apparently not. Turns out that cruise bookings, and look, this number is a little skewed. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But cruise bookings jumped 600% after Carnival Cruise announced its plans to resume starting in August, right? So they're going to start cruising again in August. And they've allowed people to start buying tickets for those cruises, and people are buying tickets for those cruises. Now, keep in mind, by the way, in Los Angeles, the stay-at-home order is going to be in effect for the next 3 months. So things won't even start opening back up until around August, if we're lucky. I mean, honestly, like the lack of leadership on a federal level, the lack of testing that we have could even extend it further. But like, who are these people booking cruises right now? Like, how insane is that? Why?
Mean, because you just want to get out, man. You want to see the world. Like, think about it. Like, you want to get out and see something, but you don't have much money because, economy's collapsed and everything. Well, cruises are going to be cheap, especially right now because they're so desperate to get people in there.
Yeah, they're about $28 a night. So you're right about the price. People are probably lured
get one of those
in
spots.
by that. Dude, cruises,
can I have a sea view?
I gotta be honest, cruises aren't great even when we're not dealing with a pandemic. Like I actually did go on a cruise in late February, but it was a family thing. A family member was turning 60. Luckily, no one got infected by the virus, or at least not that we know of. Everyone's safe and healthy right now. But like, if it weren't a family thing, I don't think I'll ever book a cruise again. Like, they're not great, especially if you want to see the world. Like, you can basically wander around whichever city the ship stops in for like 5 hours, and then you got to go back. Like, I just don't get the appeal of cruises. The food is crap. Like, it's terrible food unless you pay extra for the specialty restaurants. Like, why are people doing this?
The food is good. And like, I think a lot of people do just want a few hours to like walk through it. Like, what if you want to experience culture, but not the actual culture, and not even like the museums or anything, but you just want to sort of walk through the seaside part of a town and then get back on the boat? It's perfect for you if that's what you want. You get to see a whole bunch of them. I've always heard the food is good. I've never been on a cruise, and after my experience in the Arctic on a boat, I don't want to necessarily. But I get the appeal of it. And then you see the commercials, and it's like they've got water slides and movie theaters and golf and everything. It seems interesting. It's like being on a spaceship.
I think that there is a demographic that loves cruises and certainly benefits from going on a cruise, and that's like older people, right? Because it's easier. Like, it's not, oh, I'm going to backpack through Europe. Like, that's exhausting and difficult. And, I get it. If you're a senior citizen, you enjoy cruises, it's perfect. But the people who have booked these particular cruises that we're talking about right now are in their 30s. And so since they're younger, they're just assuming, well, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm not too worried about coronavirus. But you should be, because there are people in their 30s contracting the virus and dying. We're now hearing about kids contracting the virus and dying. And so I want to give you a few statements from reports about this. So the cruise planners representative said those making bookings were generally younger and healthy, and thus, quote, not a bit concerned about traveling at this time. The rep also said a pent-up desire for traveling, as you mentioned, John, after being cooped up in lockdown for so long, has played a part in the surge of bookings. Now, when they say that cruise bookings jumped 600%, I mean, there have been no cruise bookings.
That's
so
true.
If it was like, yeah, so it's not like, oh, wow, things were normal with bookings, and then all of a sudden, like, there was a 600% jump. That's not the case. But this story is still worth talking about because it shows that there are still people willing to book tickets to these cruises, even after those like nightmare stories about people stuck on those ships were all over the place and horrifying.
And by the way, there were nightmare stories about people being stuck on these ships before the nightmare stories about them being stuck because of coronavirus. It was already a thing. I know it's low probability or whatever. But in terms of the people who are doing it, some are just overconfident, I guess, because they're younger. But also, they've been misinformed. Tens of millions of Americans have been told that this thing isn't that deadly. You don't have to worry about it, especially if you're not young. Quarantines aren't necessary. You don't have to wear a mask. You shouldn't socially distance. They've been lied to and lied to and lied to. And some of them go on cruises. That's it. I mean, a lot more of this is going to manifest in people being irresponsible in their everyday life, going to restaurants and movie theaters and trying to pack all these things, pack parks and pack beaches and all of that. The cruises are going to be a small version of that, but it's the most extreme version of what you have when so many people have been lied to and trust the wrong people.
Exactly. And just for those who might wonder, well, what does the federal government have to say about this? Keep in mind that the CDC does have a stay-at-home order, or I should say a no-sail order, which will end July 24th. So I think that was based on a lot of assumptions that I don't think are going to come to fruition by that date. But we'll see what happens. Again, it's now been several months. We still don't have widespread testing available. We're still unable to do contact tracing, and we still do not have a vaccine and are unlikely to have a vaccine for, I read a story about 5 years, which is terrifying. I don't know how true that is, but we're nowhere near having a vaccine as of today. So these are all things to take into consideration. If you're young and healthy and you thought about booking a cruise or doing this type of travel, please don't. And just take care of yourself, take care of your family, and stay home if you can.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.